Okay, wait a minute. Let me start again since I forgot to record it, so people who are watching it. Okay, so today we're going to do Chapter 10. Chapter 10 is conic sections. So the Chapter 10 homework is optional. It's completely up to you if you want to do it or not. There is one topic on Alex, which I'm going to point out to you, that will be on the final exam, and everything else from Chapter 10 will not be. The homework from Chapter 10, if you get higher on the homework from Chapter 10 than you do on your lowest homework assignment, I will replace your lowest homework assignment with your score from the Chapter 10 homework. So a couple things about that Chapter 10 homework. And I will show you this towards the end of class. I put up a bunch of pre-recorded videos. Yeah, so if you have 100 on all your homework assignments, and you want to do the Chapter 10 stuff, great. You're right, it's not going to help you out anyway. I really don't care if you do the Chapter 10 homework or not. If I were you, there's no extra points. But nice try. And here's my reason why. The Chapter 10 homework is a lot of minutia. They're annoying. I can tell you that in general, I have people start to do the Chapter 10 homework, and then I think I've only had, in all the years I've taught Math 127, I think I've only had like 5 people actually finish the Chapter 10 homework. Because they're super annoying problems. They're make you find a bunch of tiny little stuff that just doesn't really matter a whole ton. So that's kind of why I make it optional. The Chapter 10 homework right now will show up in Canvas, like it'll show up as if it's counting for your grade. But once we're past Alex, so once Alex dumps those scores in, I will go through, I'll do that replacement next, after that, and then I will delete it. So even if you don't do it and you're like, oh my gosh, it's affecting my homework grade in Canvas, it won't in the end once I delete it. So that's what's going to happen today. So today we're going to go over the stuff that I feel actually is important from Chapter 10, and I'm going to show you where those other videos it's up to you. It's a pretty easy topic, so you might want to go and try it in Alex, and I'll show you which topic that is. So it's a fairly easy topic to do in Alex, the one that will be on the final exam, and there'll be problems on the review sheet to help you out with them for the final exam as well. So yes, you could go practice that. You don't have to. It's up to you. This Wednesday, the 28th, what will happen is there's no actual lecture. So I'm not going to be teaching anything on the 28th. I'm just going to have Dr. Gorman will have open office hours during class. All right. So, this Wednesday, there's nothing that I'm actually going to be teaching. But I will be here for the entire time of class from 2 to 3:20. You can drop in if you want. If you have questions on something, you need help with anything, you can just be free to do that. Whether that's Chapter 10 stuff, you started studying for the final exam, whatever that is. Next week is the last week of classes. On Monday, the 3rd, so May 3rd, this will be the review for the final. Right, so I will answer any questions you want, do any problems you want. So for instance, this Wednesday, you might decide to take class time to look at the review sheet, try the problems on it, because your day to ask me questions for the review is on May 3rd, so Monday, May 3rd. And then next Wednesday, May 5th, we actually will not have class. So there's no class on May 5th. And that's not like a CSN thing, it's just a Dr. Gorman thing. Like, I will not be here on May 5th, so there is no class on May 5th, and then the final exam is on May 10th. And then that's it, we're done. So there's nothing else. So basically, today's the last day of me lecturing, teaching, and then I'll be here Wednesday to answer any questions you have, next Monday will be the review for the final. Then you have a week to study, and then the final exam. And even though I won't be in class next Wednesday, if you have questions, you can always feel free to email me. So, questions on our schedule. Yeah, today is the end, right? You didn't even know you were going to walk into the end of Math 127 today. No questions on the schedule? Okay. Then, so this is chapter 10, Conic sections. Okay, so when we're talking about conic sections, the reason they're called conic sections is because they're all things that you can get from a cone, okay? So if you take a cone and you begin to slice your cone in different ways, you will get different shapes, right? So for instance, if I were to just make a straight cut on my cone, all right, and actually, let me reconnect because this is super slow behind me. So I should hit record. I'm really bad at the recording here today. So for people who are watching the recording, I'm really sorry. Basically what I did here was if you have a cone and you cut off the top, you get a circle. And if you have a cone and you cut off the top, but you cut at an angle, you end up with an ellipse. And an ellipse, this is telling you, this is the formula for the ellipse. Here's where the center of the ellipse is. And then the number underneath here, that number squared, the A, that tells you how far to go in the X direction, and the B tells you how far to go in the Y direction. And then I did an example here to draw the ellipse. Questions? Okay, so the third thing that you can get from a cone is if you take your cone, and this time if you actually cut this way, right? So if you cut off a chunk this way and you pull it apart, what you actually will get is a parabola. So in this case, you'll get a parabola. So we're used to a parabola, we're used to writing a parabola as like y equals, so in Math 126, we would have written a parabola as y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, right? Or x is equal to ay squared plus by plus c, right? Depending whether we had a parabola in the x direction or in the y direction, right? So that's what we would have done in Math 126. In Math 127, we can actually think of a parabola a little different. So we can think of a parabola, if we're talking about the ones that are sideways, the y parabolas, they're y minus k squared equals 4p times x minus h. If we're talking about them, you know, the normal way we do, like y equals x squared, you have x minus h squared equals 4p times y minus k. And so why all this like crazy stuff? So again, what is happening in a parabola here? So basically we'll go this way. So the vertex, the bottom of the parabola here, that is your h comma k. Okay, so this is h comma k. P is what is called, P deals with the directrix. So the directrix is actually a line that is back behind the parabola. So you have this line of symmetry, and then you have this directrix, and the idea on the directrix is that there's also a focal point here. And the focal point, the distance from the focal point, from inside here to the focal point, it's the same out here to the directrix. The focal point, so again, we don't think about the focal point when we are talking like in Math 126, but the idea with a focal point is that kind of similar to my ellipse, where everything is focused into those foci. The focal point in the parabola, everything is focused into there as well. So beams. So if you look at if you take a flashlight, right, and like an old school flashlight, you're not really gonna be able to see it like on your iPhone or your phone. But if you take an old school flashlight and you look inside the flashlight, you'll see that inside the flashlight is this concave, sloping, like disc, basically. So it slopes all the way around. It's this parabola curve. And the reason why is because basically if you put the light bulb inside there and the lights bounce off of this curve, and so when the light comes into this, it bounces and it all focuses back out through the focal point. So that's how flashlights get all the light to go out, because it's all going funneling through that focal point. Okay, so that's why we kind of, if you think about parabolas in terms of a conic section, you get this focal point and it pushes stuff out. And then the last one. So to get the last one, you actually need 2 cones. So if I have 2 cones that are exactly the same, and I make a straight up and down cut, what I actually get here is what's called a hyperbola. And so a hyperbola basically looks like 2 parabolas. So you could either have it looking like this, like you have a parabola up and a parabola down, or the hyperbola could look like a parabola this way and a parabola this way. So basically you get 2 parabolas. The hyperbola, so the parabola is up and down. The formula here is y minus k squared over a squared minus x minus h squared over b squared equals 1. And the hyperbola in this other direction is x minus h squared over a squared minus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. So those are the 2 formulas for the hyperbola. So what is important to me, okay, and what you need to know, the parts you really need to know going forward. So none of these I shouldn't say none of them. The hyperbola, the ellipse, for sure, those 2 shapes, they don't really come back again until Calc 3. So if you have to go all the way up to Calc 3, so Math 283, then you will see all this stuff again, okay? And the important thing there, when you go to Calc 3, when you see these shapes again, the important thing is to be able to recognize when you're given an equation, oh, that's a parabola. Oh, that's a hyperbola. Oh, that's an ellipse. That's a circle. So that is what I care about. That's the question you'll see on the final exam. It'll be, here's a bunch of, here are some, equations. What are they? Is the following equation what is it? Is it a hyperbola? Is it a circle? Is it an ellipse? What is it? The other thing, and there's one topic on Alex that says class, I believe it says, wait a minute, let me find out what it exactly says. So there's one topic on Alex, and actually, when I show you the stuff on Canvas, here in a second, then I will talk about what that topic in ALEX does. But there's, the only thing you need to know for the final is how to identify them. So you don't have to be able to do any of the other stuff. So it's just how to identify them. So I made you, so let me actually stop sharing this screen and share, let me share my computer screen. So you guys can see my computer screen, right? Okay. So if you come down on our homepage and you go into handouts and you click on the handouts, you will see there's two things here at the bottom. So one thing is the Conic sections sheet, and the other thing is the videos for the Conic sections. So the Conic section sheet, if you look at this, so I have all of this information. I have the equations, what they look like, how to find all the different pieces. So these are all the different pieces that you would need to be able to do the homework, right? So you're going to find asymptotes, you're going to find axis of symmetries, foci, or the focus over here, all different things, right? If you want to attempt to do the homework, then I highly, highly suggest that you click on the videos for the Conics sections homework. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 8 topics in the Conics sections. There is a video for every single topic in ALEX. So you can click on the video, and these aren't ALEX videos. It's me doing the videos and explaining them. So you can click on the videos and watch them. This one topic down here, classifying conics given their equations, that is, if you want to practice the thing that is on the final exam, this is the one that's on the final exam. So the topic says classifying conics given their equations. So if you're looking for the topic, then that's the topic you want to look for. People usually are happy when I tell them this, right? Math, a lot of my classes, I don't get to do the whole, like, at the end of the semester, stuff is, like, lighter than the beginning of the semester, but 127 is one of the ones I do actually get to do that for. So, so if you want to try the homework, be my guest, go for it in those sections. Otherwise, so let's go back here to my handout, though, on the Conics sections sheet. And I'm going to write this down too here in a second. But you'll notice at the top of the sheet, I actually tell you exactly how to determine whether something is a circle, an ellipse, a hyperbola, or parabola. Okay, so the parabola is the easiest one. To determine if something is a parabola, only one of the terms can be squared. So either x is squared or y is squared. They're not both squared. All the other ones, if you're a circle, an ellipse, or a hyperbola, all the terms are squared, right? So the x is squared, there's an x squared in your equation, and there's a y squared in your equation. Circles, x has to be squared, y has to be squared, and the coefficient has to be the same, exactly the same. An ellipse, x is squared, y is squared, and they have to be the same sign. So they both have to be positive or they both have to be negative, but they don't have to be the same number. And then a hyperbola, the x is squared and the y is squared, but one of them is positive and one of them is negative. So that's the way you can determine what these things are. So for example, let me pull up the problems I was going to go through here in classifying these guys. Need to find my sheet where they are. Okay. So let me go back to sharing my iPad. Okay. So the only thing that's on the exam will be classifying conics. Okay, so let's write it down what I had on that sheet. So parabolas, we'll write parabolas first because I think that's the easiest. Parabolas only one variable is squared. Circle, x squared and y squared, and the coefficients are exactly the same on the x squared and the y squared. An ellipse, you have x squared and you have y squared, and they are the same sign. And the hyperbola, you have x squared and y squared, and they are opposite signs. So, for example, classify the following. A, 3x squared minus 2y squared plus 6x plus 7 minus 2y equals 0. Okay. So, there's a conic section, right? There's an equation of it. It's not in that nice standard form like what I gave you on the pages before. So we want to look at this, and I want to be able to say, hey, I know that's either a parabola, a circle, an ellipse, or a hyperbola. I have to say what it is. So I'm going to look. Are the x and the y both squared, or is only one of them squared? Yeah, so they're both squared. That's the first thing I ask myself. They're both squared, so then I look at them and I go, okay, so I don't care about I don't care about anything else. I just care about the x squared term and the y squared term. So if I look at the x squared term and the y squared term, are the numbers in front of the x and the y exactly the same? Are the numbers in front of the x squared and the y squared exactly the same? No. Okay, so it's not a circle. Are they the same sign? Are they both positive or both negative? No. So then it's not an ellipse. So hopefully it's a hyperbola. And so for a hyperbola, one has to be positive and one has to be negative, which is what happens here, right? The number in front of the x squared is positive, the number in front of the y squared is negative. So this is a hyperbola. Questions? Yeah, it's pretty easy. That's the only part about chapter 10 I care about, is this easy part. So what about this one? What about y squared minus 4x plus 7 equals 0? What do we think that is? Yeah, that's a parabola. What about minus 3x squared plus 2x minus 3y squared plus 14 equals 0? What do we think that is? Okay, so someone said ellipse. Do we all agree it's an ellipse? Okay, someone said circle. Okay, so let's investigate. So here's my x squared term. Here's my y squared term. I should have probably defined my ellipse a little bit. Yeah, better. So my ellipses are the same sign but different numbers, right? So I really should have written that. Same sign but different numbers. It's kind of my fault. I didn't make it super clear here. So they're both squared, and the numbers in front of the square are exactly the same. So if the numbers are exactly the same, it's a circle. All right. What about 4x minus 2x squared plus 14 plus 3y squared plus 12y equals 0. What do we think that one is? Yeah, it's a hyperbola, right? I know, I figured people are probably thinking, oh, well, there's only one left she didn't do, an ellipse, right? So it must be an ellipse. So no, I made more than just 4. So it's a hyperbola. Again, look at the squared terms. So you're looking at the x squared term and the y squared term. And they're different signs. One is positive, one is negative. Different signs, automatically a hyperbola. What about this one? What about 14x squared plus 6x plus 7y squared minus 11 equals 0. What do we think that one is? Yeah, that one's an ellipse. Exactly. So not too bad, right? And that's all you have to be able to do on the final exam. So as long as you can do that, you're fine for the final exam for chapter 10. Questions? No. Okay, so for anyone that kind of came in, that part of the final will be that easy, right? So I will put up the review sheet for the final. Hopefully tomorrow it should be up. And I'll send you guys an email, but it'll have a list of all the stuff that you need to be able to do on the final, and then it'll have practice problems for those things. So again, right, just to kind of reiterate, if you came into class late, and didn't hear me at the beginning here, right, today we did chapter 10, the stuff I care about, right? You're more than welcome to do the homework from chapter 10. You do not have to do the homework from chapter 10. The chapter 10 homework will not count as part of your homework grade. But if you do the chapter 10 homework and you have a homework grade that's not 100, so then you can, the stuff due, I believe the chapter 10 homework is due the following Friday. So the stuff due this Friday still has stuff from last week on it. If you do the chapter 10 homework, I will replace your lowest homework grade. If you get 100 on the chapter 10, whatever you get on the chapter 10 homework, if it's higher than your lowest homework grade, I'll replace it. On Wednesday, I will not be teaching anything formally. I will be here for all of class time. So if you want to pop in and ask any questions or anything like that, but there's nothing I'm actually going to be lecturing on Wednesday. Next Monday will be the review for the final exam. Next Wednesday, we won't have class, and then the final exam will be on the 10th. So any other questions before I let you guys go for the day? I don't remember. You'd need to look at the syllabus. So I don't have it in front of me because all my classes are different, so I can't say off the top of my head. But I think in general, I don't think in your class I did minus grades. I think there's just plus grades. So there's a B plus, but not an A minus. If I had to guess off the top of my head. Other questions? Yeah, if I did, because I'm pretty sure in our class an A is a 90, right? If I did A minus grades, then you probably would have needed to get like a 93 or better to get an A. So it's you kind of make out a little bit, right? Because I'm willing to give an A where I would have given an A minus. Any other questions? No problem. You have a good day too. All right. So if no one has any other questions, you're free to go. If you have questions, feel free to hang around and ask them.